Hi everybody, Stefan Carlson with Carlson Projects here again. We have been working super hard on a new project that we're working on. It's called CP Stories. It's a way to really engage with our community around us and just tell good stories. We feel like there isn't those good stories out there on social media a lot of time. A lot of times news is negative, and so we want to be a part of the positive. So we want you to tag your friends, your family, below, wherever, send us a message, and we would love to tell their story if they have a unique story. This first story that we're going to be telling is the story of my grandparents. They have a very unique story. They came from small town Nebraska and ended up living all over the world. And then from touring in a VW bus around Europe for a month, to living in India and having snake charmers come to their front door and charm snakes on their front door. So if you know somebody that has a unique story, it doesn't have to be that they've lived all over the world. It could be that they came through some sort of hardship or something like that. But we want to tell that story. And as a community, as Carlson Projects, as we're a family, we want to be able to tell that story. So tag them below, tag them wherever you can. Direct message us. We'd love to tell their story. I couldn't think of a better way to start this series off with interviewing my grandparents. They have a really unique story as far as how my mom grew up all overseas, and they look at life a little bit differently, and they take life on in a little different way. So this is my grandpa. You can call him Short, or you can call him Elvis, and this is my Nana, or Nancy. So, Nana, when you first met Grandpa, were you like, this is the one, or were you like, I don't know about this guy?
I don't know, actually. We had a blind date, the first date.
Okay, I didn't know that.
My friend and her boyfriend were going to go with us, and then they had to work. So I went by myself, so it was a blind date.
It was a surprise.
Yeah, it was a blind date for both of us. We had seen each other at church, but not talked or anything.
You go through college, you go through the Game and Parks kind of program in North Platte. How the heck do you end up in India and Brazil? How did that happen?
Okay. Well, I worked at the Game Commission, the Wildlife Division, working on all the lakes in western Nebraska and farm ponds, Lake McConney and so on, doing fishery biology research in the summers. And in my last year of my BS degree, I took some entomology last year, and I really, really liked the entomology courses.
Explain what entomology is.
Oh, it's study of insects.
Okay.
And basically, I got very interested in it, and so I decided not to go into fisheries biology. I thought professional opportunities, long-term, especially at the PhD level, were much greater in entomology than in fishery biology. So I went into entomology and got my MS at Nebraska, and then I went on for a PhD in Kansas, at Kansas State University. Graduated in '67. But then I went to the University of Tennessee as a faculty member. I was there 3 years, and an opportunity came up. Tennessee had a program in India, International Agricultural Development. I mean, my plan was to go to the University of Tennessee and probably stay there the rest of my life. But this opportunity came up, and I was interested in opportunity. Take a chance at seeing what's going on in the rest of the world, and probably using some of my skills to possibly help other people, smallholder farmers and so on and so forth in developing country. So
were you on board with this at this time?
Well, Sean was born, our oldest daughter was born in Kansas, and then we had two in Tennessee. And then he got interested in international agriculture and said he was going to India, probably. And I had a 6-week-old and a 17-month, and then Sean, who was older, she was like about 5. So, this will be fun.
Yeah. So did it sound to you exciting, or was it like, I don't know how the heck we're gonna do
Well,
this, or both.
it kind of sounded exciting, but
Yeah.
then there were all these things to move our furniture and move this, and how much should we take along, and what will we have there?
Yep. Yep. So you make the decision to go to India. You get there. What's kind of your first impression when you land there and kind of get settled in?
But I remember making up, the sun comes up very early, and then you hear
All the noises.
all the street noise, and you had maybe some monkeys in the yard, and people walking on the road,
Elephants going by the
and
road.
hollering until you think there's a riot. I mean, it's just normal.
They're moving
normal
a cement mixer or something.
Yeah, so that's the first thing. Yeah. Well, at that time there was nothing but telegraph. Now this doesn't take us to the 1860s, but anyway, it's 1950s, 60s in India, and so if you got a telegram, it's probably somebody died. That's probably what it is. It was possible to call, but I don't think it's very difficult.
Well, it was
We
12
didn't have a-
hours different.
Yeah.
we
Somebody
had
was gonna pick
we
up
had
the
a
phone.
telephone in our house, but
didn't
it was
always
only
work.
for local, and so at that time communication was completely different. So
Yeah. So you really just had each other.
Yeah.
To really
yeah,
rely
and then we
on
had
a
a
little
tape
bit.
player.
Yeah.
Yeah, things are really different. I guess would comment that say really different, especially in
India was.
especially at that time, 1960s.
Yeah, I think now, because of the international travel and
Yeah.
the way people live, it's
Well, you had no way to
not as
contact.
much, but yeah,
you had
we-
no way to contact anybody from home, really.
no.
Yeah.
We sent letters, and they took about a week and a half or 2 weeks to get there. And if we
Yeah.
called somebody, it's 12 hours difference in time,
Yep.
so it wasn't too conducive to that.
But what I was going to say, things are really different. And sometimes people I know travel and, short trips, two weeks, or go on a cruise or something. And then they say, this isn't like home. And so that sometimes they get upset when things don't work as it does at home.
Yeah.
And I guess my comment is, if you want to be living in a situation like home, stay home. Don't go. Don't go wherever. You'd be happy. There's no need to go anywhere. So if that's what you're looking for,
Yeah.
that
Sometimes you wish you were there, home.
Yeah. What do you think you learned, or I guess what do you think was one of your biggest mottos, to stay positive and not feel like you wanted to be back home?
I think Sean gave us this book once, your mother.
Oh, okay.
And I thought this was funny, and I thought it was actually kind of like him more than me, but it says, no matter where you go, there you are.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like- so he kind of was that way. Wherever you go, there you are.
there was
Make the most of it, I guess.
Yeah.
And I always, Sean and the kids still remember it, but I always say anything unusual or something different, unexpected. I'd always say this is a good learning experience.
For you.
And not bad. It's a good learning.
Yeah.
A good
So they
learning
still,
experience.
oh, that was
That's a good
Dad's
experience.
good experience for you.
Yeah. My mom makes fun of it, but she says the exact same thing, and she always says ask questions.
I think one thing we enjoyed overseas was there's always other Americans there for the same reason we are, or some of them are missionaries or whatever. They're
Yeah.
in international work, and we got together with people a lot, and we made a little school of our own, and we had some teachers that were there, so they taught. I taught music. Somebody else did this and that, and it was like a little one-room schoolhouse almost. I mean, we
Yeah.
had some high school kids that took Nebraska correspondence, which was an international thing at that time. That was
Interesting.
one of the only ones.
Huh.
And they used to get their work, and then there was one teacher that worked with the high school kids. So she would help them and get their things together, and they would send it off to Nebraska so they could get a degree if they needed a degree or whatever so
Give me the kind of the overview of the places you've lived in the past
Okay.
however many years.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we were, like I said, we were
2.5
Tennessee.
years. Oh, yeah. And then we were
and-
2.5
from
years
Tennessee.
in India. And then we came home for a little while, not long.
about
And
a
then we went
year, and then we went to Brazil.
to Brazil.
From there, I had the opportunity to go to the Philippines, work at the International Rice Research Institute.
Okay.
So we went there for 10
We were there
years,
10 years.
from 75 to 85. Then we came back and we were at Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I was at LSU, Louisiana State University Department of Entomology head. We were there for 5 years, and then we decided to get more back into international agriculture. It was more exciting than working in Louisiana, I would say.
Yeah.
So we went to the Ivory Coast, and we were there for 6 years. Then we came back to Nebraska. Okay, we were there a number of years. I was working in the entomology department here. Then we had the opportunity to go to Virginia Tech for a year. They're running a project, which ended up to be 3 years.
Yeah.
Then we came back from Virginia Tech, and I worked here at East Campus in an international program in sorghum and millet till recently.
Okay.
And now I'm back with Virginia Tech on a half-time basis, working on an Asia project.
Remotely. Yeah.
Yeah, living here. in
Which is
Lincoln.
something
So I'm back.
That
different
didn't
than
exist before.
years ago. You
Yeah,
could never
so
do
that's-
that.
That's it.
Tell me a story of overcoming some sort of obstacle that you had to go through that you probably wouldn't have to go through in here, but you were able to overcome it, and you were able to be on the other side of it and be glad you did it. You have a thought on that?
I
Start
mean,
with
I
that.
was like in my 20s, and then, I had this baby 6 weeks old, and then one she's 16 months older, and then the other one was about 5, and then I had somebody that did the ironing, somebody did the washing. We had a washing machine we brought along with us that was a Ringer washing machine. So they did that outside with the hose. They would fill that, and then they do all that, and then they'd hang the clothes. And then we had a cook who was a man, and so I was running this household of all these people, and they spoke English fairly well.
So you're running a crew.
But yeah, and I had never, and they come to me, oh, madam, we need to do this. Madam, this is not, she's telling me that I have to do so and so, and so I'd have little arguments. They would have little arguments, and then with
Between
the kids,
each other, yeah.
and then with the kids.
Talking to other people.
And one thing we
more
had
experience.
a real good support team. I mean, people that were missionaries or people that were there like we were, so we had really good friends there. We'd get together a lot, the women, and
So
wherever we lived.
So you had a community there.
Yeah, we had a community.
Yeah,
that
very good.
I think he likes to travel more than I do. But he's still traveling. Though.
Yeah.
Likes
Well,
to travel.
What was something that you look back on, you go, I'm glad we did that because I learned this, or I'm glad I did that because I wouldn't have had this
Well,
experience with with
Machu
somebody
Picchu
here.
and things like that.
Oh, I mean,
That's
some of the
Brazil.
things we saw so many things that they have all these 7 wonders of the world and all these things that people see, and we've seen a lot of them,
Yeah.
which most people have never seen in their lifetime. So,
Yeah,
and I
like-
guess for the children, they were able to see a lot of things that they
Yeah.
would never have been able to.
None of this was expected. I mean, if I would have known it had been this great, I would have probably been anxious to get going. But,
Leave school early.
leave school early. But so all that's happened is just God's grace, fortuitousness. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I guess if I had planned it over again, I couldn't have done better.